So the opponents that I was mentioning with Sabril Matias a couple of months ago, um, were guys like Michel Rivera and Liam Paro. A lot of people said at that time those were big opponents and they weren't good enough to compete with Matias. A lot of people felt like Paro was a good fighter, but that was after the Montana Love victory. That's usually what they pointed to. But before that fight, I was actually high on Liam Paro. If you actually go back and look at my research, um, and I haven't had this channel a year already, and I already said that. But at the same time, Michel Rivera, he confirms a lot of things that people were thinking, and people were trying to make it seem to be that a lot of guys weren't on Matias' level as far as competing with them. And I told people over the years that guys like Ergashev aren't the same as a guy like Paro because I look at the small things, details after fights, before fights. I just look at everything. And I was high on Matias, but I had to change my pick recently because I still high on Matias. I think he's a good fighter. But as far as a boogeyman, that's a whole nother level. That means there's no other guys in boxing that's like that. You gotta understand what that actually means. That's not even a monster. Like a monster is just a guy who's run all over people. A boogeyman is people who got people running. You know what I'm saying? And that's two different things. And Michelle Rivera, he was possibly going to get the Matias fight before Paro, and he was saying that the money was so low that a lot of guys wasn't in position to accept the fight because it was a low number for championship fights, and people were saying excuses, all the other stuff. So with Michelle Rivera now speaking after Matias, and he's has the same energy. It's the same stuff he was saying before the fight. So he's not trying to pick on him because he took a loss. I can confirm this. But he says Matias has a big mouth. He talked too much and was overconfident. He overlooked Paro. And you saw what happened. Matias isn't the boogeyman they make him out to be. He is very predictable and it showed. I would love to face Paro. He said it doesn't matter where the fight takes place. I will fight in America, United States, um, Australia, or anywhere else. I know I have what it takes to outbox him and beat him. And Michelle Rivera is a very good fighter. Um, and a lot of people definitely are overlooking him. And for some reason, people are saying now that, oh yeah, he should fight Rivera, he should fight Prograis and all that stuff. I mean, those fights were gonna happen eventually, but he had to actually win his last fight. And with him losing, it's just a different situation. Definitely a different situation. But a lot of people are ignoring the fact that these fighters are actually on a high level. These are professionals. Anybody could lose. So it's just not like these guys are boogeyman. It's very disappointing to actually look past certain fighters and how good they are based on how certain people feel about them or if you feel like they're not at a certain level. But I feel like all these guys are at a certain level, especially people like Rivera. He's just went out and had a major victory over Sergey Lipinets in his first fight at 140. And this is after taking a loss to Frank Martin, a guy who just went pretty far, not the distance, but went 8 rounds with Tank Davis. And he gave him a major challenge. Gave him a huge run for his money, but it just wasn't enough. But my thing is, the people who sat up here and said that guys can't compete with Matias and things like that. Do y'all see why I said what I said now? Now people see why I said no, let Matias focus on Paro and these other guys. Pitbull and these other people, they can wait because I don't know if he's fought that level of fighter yet. I already known things were kind of shaky when he wasn't really calling out Tank Davis. So I was like, hold on. He's calling out guy. Tank Davis fought at 140, so that would be a name. But then we had the guys like Tank Davis saying that Matias was a boogeyman and other people in America. For some reason, in America, we don't say other fighters was boogeyman, but we'll say a guy like Matias is. Even though a lot of these guys just start saying this year and the end of last year. Before that, the last 3 or 4 years, when Tank was at 140, Matias was at 140. I ain't hear Tank saying he was a boogeyman then. You know what I'm saying? In my mind, I'm like, okay, if he's the boogeyman, why would you go ahead and fight Barrios instead of Matias? So when I see stuff like that, I already know a lot of it's promotion, which I try to stay out the way of. I would actually I wasn't gonna rain on his parade or like try to disrespect Matias because I thought he wouldn't win a fight. That's not the reason. The thing that got me upset was these guys are saying that the best fighters we have available are chicken and they ducking. And I'm like, bro, what is this? And people are going along with it. Oh yeah, I think Matias should stop this guy. He'll stop all these guys. He's gonna stop Paro. I said, stop Paro. Paro's a very good fighter. I don't know if he'll stop Paro. I think it goes the distance. That's why I bet on the distance. And that was a huge risk because he's only went the distance one time. So for people to kind of overlook that and for Michel Rivera to keep speaking out the way he is, I don't want people to sit up here and say, oh, Michel Rivera is saying this because he lost. Nah, Michel Rivera was already talking like this a while ago. Months ago, he was talking like this. He was begging for the fight. He just wanted to be paid like a guy who was fighting a champion. And he's not only him, but his promoters, they all have to be involved into with the whole situation. So they're not gonna pick up and have 30 people come over to Puerto Rico on just a few dollars, and you gotta try to split that down the middle. It's not gonna work. Because then you gotta overprice yourself for a championship fight. It's just a whole bad situation. So overall, boxing is competitive. Anybody could lose. I feel like the laughing and pointing fingers and when people lose and things like that, it's getting out of hand. It's been getting out of hand. I told people a couple months ago, I said, let's just keep it boxing. Because a lot of these guys, anybody can be beat any day. But over the years, there's been so much trolling and this guy has to fight this guy. So all the favoritism and biasness is getting called out on my end. Everybody else can keep doing what they're doing on their YouTube channels, but I started my channel to expose all this. I'm not going to go another 50 years hearing about weight bullies and everything else. So that's definitely getting exposed. And the whole Matias situation, he's still a good fighter. Don't put him down, but a boogeyman, I told y'all that already. Ain't no boogeyman in boxing. It can be. It's possibly boogeyman, but I wouldn't consider him a boogeyman. But that's all I got. Like and subscribe.